Hey guys, today we're diving into a story that proves appearances can be painfully deceiving. It starts with a quiet man in a crowded airport barely saying a word, but by the time security tries to drag him away, the entire terminal comes to a standstill. Why? Because what they didn't know is who he really was, what he really controlled, and how badly they were about to regret judging the book by its cover. So, before you get comfortable, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if these kinds of stories truly speak to you. Drop a comment with your city and local time and let's dive right in. You barely say a word as you walk through Terminal 7 at JFK, your brown carry-on clutched tight to your chest. The collar of your charcoal wool coat is pulled up just enough to shield your face from the dry chill pumping through the vents above. Your black dress shoes click against the tile one deliberate step after another, eyes fixed on Gate 82, American Airlines Flight 293 to D.C. People rush around you, families juggling strollers, businessmen barking into AirPods, influencers filming makeup tutorials mid-walk. But you walk like silence, like still water before a storm. It begins with a glance. TSA Agent Reynolds, broad-shouldered, buzz-cut, sipping lukewarm Dunkin' coffee, looks up from his podium. Something about you doesn't sit right with him. He doesn't know what. You're not doing anything wrong. Not speaking, not fidgeting, just walking. But that stillness, it unsettles him. "Hey," he says, nudging the younger officer beside him. Black coat, brown bag. "Watch him. You don't hear it. Or maybe you do, but you don't react." The terminal buzzes with the usual friction of travel. PA announcements in 3 languages. A kid screaming over a lost iPad. Someone arguing over pre-check lines. You blend into all of it. That is, until you don't. You pass Gate 78, then 80. That's when you hear it behind you, boots on tile. Fast. Heavy. Intentional. Sir, a voice barks. "Excuse me, sir." You stop. Not because you're afraid. Because you know exactly what happens next. They circle you like wolves around something they think is weak. 4 officers now. TSA and Port Authority. One's already reaching for cuffs. You raise your hand slowly, calmly, and say just 4 words. "Can I help you?" But they don't want help. They want to assert control. "What's in the bag?" the lead officer demands. His name tag reads S. Coulter. But the way he stands, you'd think he was running the entire TSA. You offer the bag. No sudden moves. You speak again, voice soft, firm, documents. ID. Travel clearance. Coulter sneers. "We'll see about that." They unzip it like they're defusing a bomb. A laptop, a leather folio. A few printouts, some with classified headers they clearly don't recognize. "Sir, I'm going to need you to come with us." You tilt your head. "On what grounds?" He steps forward, puffed up inches from your face. Suspicious behavior. Potential threat indicators. You've been flagged. You could resist. You could flash a badge. Say the one name that would make them all freeze. But not yet. Because something more powerful is about to happen, and it only works if they go too far. They cuff you, tight to tight. And as they frog march you past Gate 84, people pull out phones. A woman with a stroller looks horrified. An older man whispers, "Was he armed?" Someone mutters, "Always looks like the quiet ones." No one knows your name. Yet. They shove you into a sterile TSA holding room behind a locked gray door. Harsh fluorescent lights flicker overhead. A fan spins but gives no breeze. Coulter tosses your bag on the table and flips open your laptop. "Encrypted," he mutters. "Figures. You say nothing." The younger officer, Rodriguez, his badge says, glances at your ID still sealed in its leather case. He flips it open and freezes. His mouth opens, then closes, then opens again. Coulter doesn't notice. He's calling someone. "Yeah, I got a suspect in custody, Bay C. Yep, black male, mid-40s, no visible ID, suspicious luggage. I want full background before I start interrogation." Rodriguez swallows hard. Sir Coulter waves him off. One sec. No, sir. Seriously. You should... Look at this. Coulter sighs, rips the badge wallet from Rodriguez's hand and reads it aloud, mocking until the words catch in his throat. United States Department of Homeland Security. Director. Silence. You look up slowly. I tried to tell you. Coulter turns pale. This is fake. You lean forward, voice steel now. Call Director Whitehall. Or better yet, tap that little emergency line you're not supposed to use unless national security's involved. I'll wait, Coulter stammers. The room suddenly feels hotter. You sit calm. Regal even, like a man who has waited long enough to make a point. The phone rings. Not Coulter's. Not yours. The red line on the wall phone. Rodriguez stares. No one ever calls that line. Coulter slowly picks it up. This is Officer Coulter, Port Authority. He stops, straightens. Yes, sir. He's here. We didn't know. I understand. He hangs up. Doesn't look at you. Then says barely above a whisper. Director Alton. We apologize. You stand. Rodriguez unhooks the cuffs with trembling hands. You nod at him. Thank you, Officer Rodriguez. You were the only one who checked before judging. You collect your bag, re-zip it, smooth your coat. You walk past Coulter without a word. The terminal is silent now. Whispers ripple out as you step through the glass doors. Outside, a black BMW 7 Series waits, engine purring. The driver opens the door, and just before you step inside, you glance back. Coulter stands there frozen like he's seen a ghost. You smile, just slightly, because justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives without sirens. You don't say a word as the BMW pulls away from Terminal 7, your gaze fixed on the blur of runways and blinking lights outside the tinted window. The driver, a former Marine named Langston, says nothing either. He doesn't have to. The tension is thick enough to cut with a blade. In your hands, your phone buzzes once an encrypted message from Director Whitehall himself. Standing ovation. Meet me in D.C. tonight. You glance at the text, then let out the softest exhale. Not a laugh. Not relief. Something heavier. Like the weight of what just happened hasn't quite settled yet. The moment they cuffed you. The silence in the terminal. The hum of a phone line only 4 people in the country have access to. Langston speaks at last. You want to stop somewhere before the airstrip, sir? You nod. The Marriott at Grand Central. I need to pick something up. He changes lanes without hesitation. Minutes later, you step into the lobby of the Midtown East Marriott, a place you used to stay before promotions and clearances pulled you into a world with fewer hotel points and more redactions. Behind the front desk, a young woman, Maya, greets you with a bright smile. Welcome back, Mr. Alton. Your document package is in the safe. Would you like me to retrieve it? You nod. Please. And call ahead to the rooftop. I'd like to speak to Mr. Dubois if he's in. She makes the call. Her voice drops when she hears the response. He's on his way down. And sure enough, 90 seconds later, a tall man in a 3-piece suit appears. Dubois, head of security for the property. He was a decorated counter-terrorism advisor before switching to hospitality. His eyes go wide when he sees you. Sir, he says, offering a firm handshake. We just heard. Port Authority. You nod once. I'll be filing a full report, but tonight, I want to be present. He raises a brow. The dinner? You smile. Exactly. And make sure TSA knows who's entering my airspace from here on. By the time you step into your private plane an hour later, the world is already shifting. Because while Coulter scrambles to submit a panicked incident report, one riddled with redactions and half apologies, your name has quietly lit up internal Homeland Security briefings. Not as a suspect, as the one who just passed a real-world loyalty test and failed the ones enforcing it. The Falcon 900EX hums to life as you sip a glass of water and flip through the document packet from the Marriott safe. Intel briefings, cross-border surveillance updates, NAD, a classified memo about a rogue agent inside the Office of Infrastructure Protection. But your eyes keep drifting back to the front page. A grainy screenshot from someone's TikTok. It's you cuffed being marched through JFK. The caption, TSA doing too much again, this man didn't even resist. It's already been reposted by Sean King. The comment section is a war zone. And yet you're calm. Because every narrative needs a moment like that, where perception crumbles, where silence is mistaken for weakness and then rewritten into power. You land at Reagan National under cover of midnight. No press, no salutes, just a sleek black SUV waiting to take you to the underground level of the DHS compound. Inside, the night shift rises when you walk through the blast-proof doors. Director Alton, someone says, voice tight with admiration. We didn't know you were airborne. You wave it off. Keep it between us. But word travels fast. By the time you enter the Situation Room, 4 department heads are already standing. Whitehall is last to enter, his silver hair swept, neatly back glasses glinting under the recessed lighting. He's carrying a manila folder, one with the TSA insignia. He tosses it on the table. They issued a formal apology. You sit down slowly. And the officer's Rodriguez. He's being promoted. As for Coulter, Whitehall shrugs. Let's just say he'll have plenty of time to reevaluate his priorities at LaGuardia's lost baggage unit. You nod. Fitting. Whitehall leans forward. I have to ask, why didn't you stop it? Flash the badge. Make a call. You meet his eyes. Because if I had, no one would have learned anything. Silence. Then a small smile creeps across his face. That's why we gave you the chair. You glance at the screen behind him, satellite images of cargo containers, flagged biometric scans, all flowing into a single dashboard that traces back to your terminal. Your name, your authority, your silence. And yet that's not the end. Because just across the river, Coulter is pacing in a Port Authority office, his hands shaking. He's been ordered to undergo sensitivity retraining, but he knows it's a prelude to termination. Worse still, he's seen the footage too. The look on your face when you stood up, calm, unreadable. He replays it over and over like it might offer him redemption. But the twist, it's not about him. It's about the woman in the terminal who caught it on video. The one who posted it. Her name is Kiara Ellis, a freelance investigative journalist who's been covering institutional profiling for 5 years. She's the real spark. Because the moment she finds out who you are, she contacts the Times. Not the opinion desk, the investigative editor. And when they verify your identity off the record, of course they realize this isn't just a social media clip. It's a story about how far perception can fall before it's corrected. By the next morning, the article drops mistaken authority. How a Homeland Security director was detained at JFK and what it says about us. Your inbox lights up, some with praise, some WTIH fear. But the one that hits hardest, a handwritten note, no return address, just one line. Thank you for not shouting. You fold it slowly, hand steady, because you know exactly what they mean. And tomorrow is going to change everything. You wake up at 5:13 a.m. to the soft chime of your security encrypted alarm. A sky the color of brushed steel looms beyond the bulletproof windows of your D.C. apartment. Today is not about vengeance. It's about the ripple, the one you've been planning for years. The one that starts not with a press conference or a disciplinary board, but with a story, a headline. You're dressed in under 10 minutes, dark tailored suit, crisp white shirt, polished cufflinks. You choose the tie deliberately. Navy blue, just like the one you wore yesterday, the one they cuffed you in. You stare at your reflection, then tuck your badge into your inside pocket. Still sealed, still heavy with meaning. By 6:15, you're seated at a small table inside Busboys and Poets on 14th Street. Your assistant Jasmine slides into the booth across from you, breathless, holding 2 coffees. They've already contacted CNN, MSNBC, NAD, The Atlantic, she says without greeting. Everyone wants to verify the Times story. Should I stall? You shake your head. No, let them talk. Jasmine blinks. You sure this could get out of control? You look her dead in the eyes. That's exactly the point. Let it burn through the morning cycle. She nods slowly. You're playing long game. You sip your coffee, then tap your phone once. Within seconds, a secure link activates and pushes a short statement to select inboxes. Not to the media. To federal department heads. Subject on authority. Perception and silence. If I, a man trusted with securing this country's most critical systems, can be publicly dehumanized without resistance or record, then what happens to those who do not wear a badge? What happens to the ones who walk quietly with no title to flash and no line to call? This isn't about me. It never was. This is about who we assume the threat is and how wrong we often are. It ends without a name. Just your seal. DHS Director. Top clearance. By 9:47 a.m., every internal Slack channel at TSA is on fire. At 10:02, the House Oversight Committee calls for a closed-door review of profiling protocols. And at 11:21, Coulter receives a final email. Subject reassignment. He doesn't open it. He doesn't need to. He's already packed up his desk. But the world outside his tiny world is only beginning to shift. Back at Langley, your presence has become a symbol. Quiet leadership. Composed power. Even those who doubted your nomination, the ones who whispered about your soft-spoken nature, your refusal to parade authority. Now replay the footage of your airport walk with different eyes. There's even talk of offering you the keynote at the next National Security Symposium. You decline. You're not finished yet. Instead, you show up unannounced at JFK. Same terminal, same hour, same coat. Rodriguez is there. He freezes when he sees you. Director. You hold up a hand. At ease. He looks around nervously. Sir, is this? You nod. A walkthrough. That's all. Together you move through the gates. This time, people recognize you. A woman lowers her phone mid-recording. A Delta pilot tips his cap. A janitor pauses, unsure whether to speak. And then you do something that drops jaws across 3 gates. You stop in front of the same checkpoint where Coulter had cuffed you. You reach into your coat. Pull out a sealed envelope. Give this to whoever replaces him, you tell Rodriguez. Inside, a signed copy of your internal memo. And a handwritten note. Never assume Tay Quiet Man is alone. You leave it on the podium. No press, no headlines, just a ripple. You're halfway down the terminal when a voice calls out. Sir, you turn. Rodriguez hurries to catch up. There's something I didn't tell you. That day, I knew who you were. I didn't say anything because I froze. I was scared of stepping on Coulter's command. You nod. You followed procedure. But you knew something was wrong. He straightens. I won't freeze again. You study his face for a long second, then hand him your card. If you ever want to move out of the airport game, we could use someone like you at DHS. His eyes widen. You're serious? Always, you say. By 3 p.m. he's submitted an application. By 4:30 he's accepted. The cycle continues. And yet at no point do you speak to the media. You don't need to. Because stories like this, they don't need narrators. They just need to be seen. That night you're invited to a dinner at the Four Seasons Georgetown. High-level stakeholders. Members of the Homeland Security Advisory Council. Political appointees, donors, even 2 former secretaries of defense. Halfway through the entree course, the event organizer asks you to speak. You decline once. They insist. So you stand glass in hand, no speech prepared. You scan the room. Yesterday, you begin. I was mistaken for a threat. A few people shift awkwardly in their seats. You continue, voice quiet, but now unmistakably firm. Not because of what I did, not because of what I said, but because I didn't fit the image in someone's head of what safety looks like. You let the silence hang. In a country where titles are supposed to matter, they didn't even check mine. The silence deepens. You raise your glass. So if we're going to lead this nation in the name of security, let's start with the security of knowing who we're truly protecting. And from what? The room erupts. Applause. Some standing, some stunned. But you already know the real work happens long after the claps die down. Because most powerful change doesn't shout. It walks quietly through terminals and rewrites the rules as it goes. You don't carry bitterness. Tot would be too easy, too noisy. Instead, you carry names of people you've watched quietly correct the world from behind closed doors, of agents who infiltrated domestic cells without a trace, of janitors who flagged suspicious wiring before bombs could detonate, of airport staff who spotted danger not because of a profile but because they looked. You carry those names with reverence, and today you add one more. Rodriguez. He starts his first day at the Department of Homeland Security at 9 a.m. Sharp, crisp Navy uniform. Eyes lit with the mixture of nerves and a determination you recognize from your own younger self. You watch form the mezzanine as he's guided into orientation. No cameras, no announcements. Just a subtle nod from you as he passes. He sees you and straightens. You nod back. Later that morning, you receive a call on the encrypted line, Whitehall. They're asking questions on the Hill, he says. Senator Langley's demanding an open hearing on profiling protocols. You let the silence stretch before replying. Let him. The louder the outrage, the clearer the line. Whitehall exhales. You sure about this? You'll be exposed. They'll drag your name. You chuckle. They already dragged my body. My name can survive a few headlines. He doesn't push further. You hang up and look out over Constitution Avenue. In the distance, just behind the Capitol dome, a hawk drifts on a current of wind, quiet and sharp. You feel that way today above the chaos. Still watching, but the chaos isn't finished. That afternoon, you receive an unexpected visitor. Maya, the hotel clerk from the Marriott. You're surprised to see her in the waiting room of your D.C. office. Your assistant ushers her in. Director. I'm sorry if I'm overstepping. She begins, clutching a worn leather bag. I think you left something behind. She opens the bag and pulls out a folder. Inside, a collection of letters, written by travelers, to you. She explains softly. When the article hit, some guests started asking questions. A few figured out who you were. Then more started writing. I didn't know what to do with them. You glanced down at the first envelope. No return address, just the words, to the man who stayed silent but stood tall. You thank her, then place the folder on your desk. You don't open it yet. Some things need to settle before they can be read. Meanwhile, the fallout continues. Coulter goes viral for the wrong reasons. A journalist uncovers a string of past complaints. Excessive force, disproportionate targeting. One particular case stands out, a grandmother detained for suspicious knitting needles. You remember the headline vaguely. It didn't trend for long, it does now. The public doesn't just want an apology, they want reckoning. And it arrives swiftly. The NYPD quietly announces that Coulter has been removed from all field duties. The TSA adds a new line to their pre-boarding protocols. Officers must verify identification before assuming suspicious behavior. That line carries your fingerprint. Not literally, but in essence. Then something unexpected happens. Kiara Ellis, the journalist who posted the TikTok, releases a follow-up piece. Not about Coulter, not about the agency, about you. It's titled, "The Man Who Didn't Need to Speak to Be Heard." It breaks within 24 hours. Her opening lines echo, "He didn't shout. He didn't fight. He didn't resist. But in doing nothing, he forced us to see everything." You read it once. Then again. Then once more. She captured it all. The humiliation. The restraint. The silent choice to let the system reveal itself. She closes with a challenge. If this can happen to a man like him, what happens to the rest of us? Within hours, the article is shared by Ava DuVernay, Barack Obama, and the official account of the Southern Poverty Law Center. You don't respond publicly. You never do. But privately, you send Kiara a handwritten letter. One line. "Thank you for seeing what others tried to erase." Back at JFK, Rodriguez is notified of his security clearance approval. A junior agent hands him the badge personally. "Fastest turnaround I've seen in 20 years, he whispers. Rodriguez beams. Guess I had the right references. And for the first time in his life, he feels seen not just as a uniform, but as a man capable of leadership. Because of you. The impact grows. The quiet ripple you set in motion becomes a current. Across other terminals, Atlanta LAX O'Hare. TSA agents begin holding peer review sessions on bias and silence. It starts grassroots, but then it gets sponsored. By DHS. By you. You fund an initiative called Project Mirror, a program that equips security professionals with immersive VR scenarios, forcing them to re-evaluate their gut instincts under pressure. First month pilot, 93% of participants admitted they would have profiled you. Month 2, only 41%. By month 6, 11%. The change is real, measured, and irreversible. But your favorite moment? It happens on a random Tuesday boarding a flight to San Diego. You walk toward the checkpoint. No entourage. No flag pin. Just you. You present your ID. The TSA officer looks up eyes wide. She doesn't salute. Doesn't panic. She just smiles gently. Ned says, "Thank you for how you handled JFK." You nod. You read the article. She shrugs. Didn't need to. "My son wants to be like you." You pause. "And what do you want for him?" She grins. "To know when to stay calm and when to stand tall." You step through the scanner. Clear. No alarms, no assumptions, just assumptions. Just one final voice from the line behind you. Director Alton, thank you. You don't set out to become a symbol. Symbols are static. You've always preferred movement ideas in motion justice that breathes dignity, that bends but never snaps. But symbols are forged in fire, and the airport that tried to burn you became the furnace where the nation learned to see again. 3 months later, you receive a call from the White House Chief of Staff. There's a vacancy on the National Security Advisory Board, she says. The president wants someone who understands nuance, someone who doesn't bark orders but sets examples. You don't respond right away. You're standing at Union Station waiting for a train, watching people, listening. Then I'll do it, but only if I can still walk terminals unescorted. She laughs. That's what sealed the offer. Your nomination is announced in a simple White House press release, no fanfare. Just a headline, Director Alton appointed to National Security Advisory Board. The same day, Coulter appears in a grainy live stream on Facebook. Now working for a third-party security contractor at a strip mall in Newark. He's ranting about how the system turned on him. Few people watch. Fewer believe. That chapter has closed. But a new one opens in a congressional hearing. You sit in front of senators' cameras clicking. One of them, the same Senator Langley who once questioned your fitness to lead, now opens his remarks WTIE, a startling confession. I was wrong, he says, voice steady. I assumed a man of few words had little to offer. But silence, as Director Alton has proven, is sometimes the loudest testimony. Gasps ripple across the chamber. You let them echo. You don't need to speak. Your name, your walk, your restraint, they've already spoken for you. And afterward, when a reporter chases you down the marble hallway shouting, "Sir, any regrets about how it all unfolded?" you stop. You turn. And for the first time, you speak to the lens, "Yes, I regret that it had to happen." For people to finally look. That clip becomes a signature soundbite. It ends up in documentaries, podcasts, even a college textbook. But it's not your favorite moment. Your favorite moment comes in private. You return to the Marriott, the one where you stayed taut night. Maya greets you, now promoted to assistant manager. "Sir," she says, handing you a small envelope. Inside, a keycard. Suite 714. You take the elevator up alone, slide the key in, and find the suite filled with letters. Hundreds now, lined on tables, pinned to walls. From every state, from kids, from veterans, from victims, from guards, from mothers. Each one begins the same way: "I didn't know people like you were watching. Thank you." You sit in the middle of the room, silent. But this time, the silence feels earned. Like a victory tot didn't need to be shouted. Like justice that finally arrived, not in a siren, but in a whisper. And the world. It's still watching, still learning, still changing because of a man they tried to silence and instead made immortal. If this story stirred something in you, or made you reflect on how we treat one another, go ahead and give it a like. Leave a comment about what surprised you most, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the quietest presence holds the loudest truth.